such thing.
Uh-huh.
Actually, I didn't even want to do that yet.
Hey.
How about part? Okay, so this is page 229, number 20, right? So we're trying to find the equation of the line that passes through the point -1, -3, and -2, 3. That sound right? Yes. So what should we do first?
We should do the y2 minus y1 next.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is this point-intercept form?
Either way, we need the slope, right?
Yeah.
Either way, and this, well, and if it, in this lesson, I think strictly speaking, we're supposed to do it in slope-intercept form, but you can go either way. As long as your answer turns out in slope-intercept form, it doesn't matter. All right, okay, so we're going to find the m by plugging in the bits. So what are we going to plug in right here? 3. What are we going to plug in right here? -3. What are we going to plug in right here?
-2.
-2. What are we going to plug in right here? -1. Okay. So what's -3 minus -3? We could chink, right?
6.
Equals 6. And then we could chink down here. What's -2 plus 1?
-1.
-1. So our m is what number?
-6/1.
Or just -6, right? Either one is probably correct since it's a slope. Now what do we need to do?
We need to put it in and do the slope-intercept equation.
Okay. So where are we going to plug this -6?
Plug it in for m.
Going to plug it in for m. Sounds like a good idea. Right there. What are we going to plug in for y and x?
One of these.
One of the points.
3 or -3.
Okay, sounds good. So what are we going to put right here?
-3.
Sure. What are we going to put right here?
-1.
Here?
No, that's the -6.
-6. And then here?
-1.
Okay, so now what?
You multiply them together.
Okay, so we've got -3 equals -6 times -1
6
is 6 plus b. Now what?
Subtract 6.
Subtract 6. Sounds like a great idea. Those cancel. -3 minus 6 is?
+9.
-9, right? So remember, for our addition subtraction, we add and keep the sign. So -9. The multiplication division is where if it's the same, then it ends up positive. So that equals b. So our final answer is what?
Y equals mx plus -9.
Try again.
Y equals -6x.
There you go. -6x minus 9. Very good. Any other questions on that homework set before we talk about the next one? 24. So in 1904, a dictionary cost 30 cents. Since then, the cost of a dictionary has risen an average of 6 cents per year. And then, so A, it says, write a linear equation to find the cost C of a dictionary Y years after 1904. So, this is the same page, number 24A. Okay. So the key word there is per. That's one word we really want to clue into. That word is telling us which one the slope is. Okay. So if we're looking at that in that sentence, it says it's raising an average of 6 cents per year. Okay. So the slope of that one. So our cost C is what we're supposed to be making an equation for, right? And it says it starts at 30 cents, right? So 30 cents. And then we're adding 3 cents per year, right?
That's 6 cents per year.
Yeah.
You're right, 6 cents per year. And so there's the answer to A. Okay, so now for B, it says estimate the zoo's attendance in 2024. Okay, so what we need to know is we need to know what Y is for that problem. So it says because we got to know what we're going to take and plug in up here, right? So if we start in 2010 and we want to know 2024, then what number are we going to plug in for Y? How many years from 2010 to 2024?
14.
14 years. Okay.
2024, I'll be 17.
So we're going to take and we're going to plug in 14 for the number of years.
In 2010, I was 3.
Okay. So what's 6 times 14?
84.
So what's 30 plus 84?
114.
114. Oh, because I read the numbers wrong, right? Y'all don't have your book open. You do. Read.
I don't even know what page we're on. I just
229.
Hey.
Go to 229. Good job. Because he listened earlier, right? So go look at number 24 for me and tell me what I did wrong. Because I was remembering something else. Because we definitely didn't get the right answer.
For B, it went up to 26. In 2025.
Yeah. So we should have been going from 1904 through 2025. I don't know where I got 2010 and 2020, whatever else for.
Yeah, from B, you did.
Oh, I was looking. No, what I was doing is I was looking at number 23 on accident.
Yeah, it's got to be 121 years. What? 121 years.
121 years is what the man says.
121 years. I'm just saying.
Because 2025 minus 1,904 is 221. Is that what you're telling me? Now he's second guessing himself.
No, it's 121.
What did I say?
You said 221.
Quit lying. No. Yeah, so we're going to plug 221 into our equation. How does that sound? 121. Quit yelling at me. We're plugging 121 because 2025 minus 1,904 is 121. Or 24. 21.
Yeah, but I heard 221 and then 1.
Okay, dude, don't worry about what you're hearing. Look at the problem. Do the math that you know how to do. You got this. Yes? Okay, good. Now, what is this? 6 times 121. Now maybe we'll get the right answer. What's 6 times 121? Plus 30.
7.5. 756.
756. Now, that's...
Wait, I got 726.
It did, and then you add 30.
You're right.
Okay, so that is in cents. Now, we don't write money in cents, right? We write it in dollars. So how would we convert this cents to dollars?
7.56.
Yeah, so we're going to move that decimal place over a couple times. So $7.56.
No, it's just 756 cents.
It is 756 cents, but we don't write math. We don't write money that way.
I'm gonna start a whole generation right?
No, you're not. Put like,
No.
that's fat, dog.
That's bad, dog.
Okay. Any other questions on that homework set before we go on to the next? We can take another question or two if we need to. Any questions on that problem? No? Nothing else on that one? All right, let's look at the next homework set. So, pages 12 through 48 even on page 236 through 237. So, let me pause this again. Actually, because this one does need to be watched, we'll actually keep it going. Okay, so on number 12 is y plus 1 equals -3 times the quantity x minus 2. Number 14 is y minus 6 equals 0. Number 16 is y plus 8 equals -5/8 times the quantity x plus 6. Number 18 is y equals 0. Number 20 is y minus 10 equals 2 times the quantity x minus 8 for the first part. And the second part is y equals 2x minus 6. And the third part would be 2x minus y equals 6. Oh, wait, I'm reading 19, aren't I? That's why y'all are like, oh my gosh, they're all wrong. Everything's wrong. My life is ruined. How about number 20? Number 20 is y minus 6 equals -3 times the quantity x plus 2. The second part is y equals -3x. And the third part is 3x plus y equals 0. Number 22 would be y plus 4 equals 2/3 times the quantity x plus 7. And the second part would be y equals 2/3 x plus 2/3. And finally, the last part would be 2x minus 3y equals -2. Number 24 is y plus 7 equals -3/2 times the quantity x plus 1. Second part, y equals -3/2 x minus 17/2. Third part, 3x plus 2y equals -17. Number 26, y minus 2 equals 17/10 times the quantity x minus 1. Second part is y equals 17/10 x plus 3/10. And last part is 17x minus 10y equals -3. 28 is y minus 11 equals 3 times quantity x plus 4. Second part is y equals 3x plus 23. Third part is 3x minus y equals -23. Number 30 is y minus 1 equals 4/5 times the quantity x plus 5. Second part is y equals 4/5 x plus 5. And the last part is 4x minus 5y equals -25. Number 32 is y plus 6 equals -3/4 times quantity x plus 8. Second part is y equals -3/4 x minus 12. Third part is 3x plus 4y equals -48. And 34 is y plus 4 equals 9 times the quantity of x plus 1. Second part is y equals 9x plus 5. And the third part is 9x minus y equals -5. Then for number 36, A is y minus 325 equals 50 times the quantity x minus 6. 36B is y equals 50x plus 25. And 36C is $25. 38 is 3x plus 4y equals 0. 40 is y minus 3 equals 4 times the quantity x minus 1. Number 42 is y minus 7 equals negative 4/3 times quantity x plus 3. 44 is y equals 1/2 x plus 3/2. 46, we'll pull up the graphs for some of these here in a minute because the 12 through 18 we needed graphs. I'll pull those up here in just a second. Where was I? 46 is y minus 8 equals 8/5 times quantity x plus 2. Second part is y equals 8/5 x plus 56/5. Third part is 8x minus 5y equals negative 56. 48a is f of x equals negative 70x plus 724. And 48b is 96/100ths of a kilometer. The graphs for 12 through 18 are up there on the board. Any questions on that homework set? Nothing?
14.
14, she says. I didn't stop this, right? I didn't stop it. Okay. So on page 236, number 14. We are trying to write an equation in point slope form that passes through the point and has the slope, and then we're supposed to graph it. So we're given the point negative 7, excuse me, 6, and we're giving the slope of 0. So point slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So what are we going to plug in for y1?
6.
6. What are we going to plug in for the slope?
0.
0. What are we going to plug in for x1? Actually, it doesn't matter at this point, but we'll keep on going. Negative 7, right? What does 0 do to this whole mess over here?
It makes it a straight line.
Bam. Okay. It cancels that like that. So then we have y minus 6 equals 0. So we should clean that up and solve for y at that point because we're just got this thing hanging out over on the side. Or we could leave. Oh, we're supposed to do these in point slope, right? So that's finished. It's all done. There it is. Ask your question.
Whenever we when the 0 cancels it out, if we left the x minus negative 7, is that technically incorrect? Or
Yep, because that's not in simplest form.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely, positively. And then when you graph it, it does. You would have to add 6 to both sides, right? And you would end up with that line right there.
Oh, I got the graph right. I just left the x with negative 7 there.
Gotcha. Yeah, you always want to simplify when you can. All right, what else?
Verse 48.
So, number 48. Whether you like it or not. Okay, so on page 237, number 48. The barometric pressure is 598 millimeters of mercury, mmHg, at an altitude of 1.8 kilometers and 577 millimeters of mercury at 2.1 kilometers. A says write a formula for the barometric pressure as a function of the altitude. In the answer key, they use f of x. You wouldn't have to use that. You could do something else. If we wanted to use function notation, what I would have used would have been something like p of x, or maybe what does it say? Pressure or function? Pressure is a function of altitude. So if I was using function notation, I would have done p of a if it were me. They did f of x. I don't know why. They just decided to randomly use function notation on that problem. But if I was using function notation, that's what I would do. Because it's descriptive. Does that make sense? Okay. Let's see. Now, what all are we given here? We're given a few different things, and this is where the problem ends up being a little bit tricky. The barometric pressure is 598. I've talked about this before, but when we're doing word problems, one of the best first steps is to kind of start to collect information. So 598 millimeters of mercury at an altitude. So if we want to use a ratio, we could do it that way. Or we could use a fraction because those are all the same. Does that make sense? I think I'm gonna go straight for a fraction instead of rewriting. How does that sound? Actually, let's not do it that way. Let's do it this way because of the lesson we're in. I'm going to write it as an ordered pair. How does that sound? 598 millimeters of mercury at 1.8 kilometers. And then it also says that it's 577 millimeters of mercury at 2.1 kilometers. So it gave us a couple of points on the graph, right? And once it said to write pressure as a pressure, so these would actually be the other way around, wouldn't they? Give me half a second. Give me half a second. No, stop virtual camera. We don't. Right? So, what is that? Is it a pressure or an altitude?
So, pressure.
Turn to the thing in the book if you're not sure.
Pressure.
It's pressure. Millimeters of mercury is a measure of pressure. A measure of pressure. Under pressure, right? So I wrote this because I didn't think through what I was doing as PA. We needed to have altitude as X, right? Does that make y'all following me?
Yeah.
Yes, no, maybe. If you're not, say no.
Yeah.
Okay. So we gotta switch these around in order for our slope to be right. Okay. So the points we're actually going to use to solve this problem are 1.8, 598, and the second point is going to be 2.1, 577. So we got 2 points. We're expected to write a formula using those 2 points. So what should we do first?
Use the y2.
Yeah, the slope formula. So what are we going to plug in right here?
The
577.
Sounds great. What are we going to plug in right here?
5 around here. Oh, we're gonna get negative.
We are going to get a negative number. That's true.
We're gonna get what?
Which makes sense from what you probably know about science already. As you go up, what happens to the pressure? Pressure goes down. You up on Mount Everest, it's a hard time. You have a hard time breathing because the air's thin, and you also have less pressure.
You have a hard time reading?
Breathing.
Like,
You might have a hard time reading because you can't concentrate because you're not getting enough oxygen, maybe. But I said breathing. What are we going to plug in right here?
Have you ever been to Mount Everest?
No, I have not.
You don't know.
You have not. Quit lying.
1.8.
I didn't even dream.
That I could believe. Okay, so now when we punch that in our calculator, what do we end up getting?
Negative.
The top is gonna be negative 21.
And then the bottom is going to be. The bottom is going to be negative 15.9. Nope, that's not it.
Negative 50. What?
No,
It's gonna be 0.3.
Yeah, I take something.
Well,
else.
it can't be 0.3. Because that's a fraction of a fraction.
Well, we're not finished with this problem, right? Because we got to continue on down.
Then negative 21 divided by 3 is negative 70.
It is negative 70. So our m equals negative 70. Finish the problem. What are we going to do now?
You need to write it in form. In the.
Doesn't matter. We can do whatever. Which form y'all want to use to get there? Y'all want to use point slope or slope intercept?
Slope-Intercept.
Sounds fine.
I think he's confused.
No, I'm good.
Why are you sitting
I have no idea.
Okay, slope intercept you said. Y equals negative.
Am I recording audio? Yes.
Yes.
What?
Sorry, I'm trying to do two things at once. It's tricky. Advanced moves. What are we going to plug in right here?
The 1.2. No, 2.1.
For Y?
It's 0.3. No, it'd be 577. Listen, it's 0.5. There's no 0.3.
577 equals, what are we going to plug in here?
Oh, it's 5.
Negative 70.
Negative 70. What are we going to plug in here?
The
2.1.
So solve for B. Go.
Okay.
Focus, dude. Focus.
B is going to equal 724. Yep.
724. So the answer to part A is P of A equals negative 70A plus 724, right?
Yep. Totally understand.
So What would you do for part B?
What is the altitude if the pressure is different?
So where are you going to plug that 657 into?
Instead of the 598, we're gonna replace
The 598.
or we're gonna.
Where are we going to plug it into this equation? For the P or for the A?
For the P.
For the P. And then you can solve for A.
It's as simple as that.
It is as simple as that. So cool. All right. Any other questions? We can take maybe one more.
Are we gonna do anything new today?
Yep. And you're going to have homework.
How are we gonna have homework if we don't do anything new today?
I said, yep, and we're going to have homework. We're going to do both.
Alright guys, just ask a really big question. That way it'll take 15
No.
minutes.
How did the world come to be?
Guys,
That's a philosophical question that is beyond the scope of this class.
He said
It was
that's a good
creation.
question.
God, just saying.
Yeah. That's if that is your worldview, that is what you believe to have happened.
That is
If it's not, then it's not. 38.
Here's the review. Just say it. This is the review.
Yeah, give me half a second. We'll do 38 real quick. It won't take very long. 20, 22, 01, 11. Point. Slope. Save. Hello. Number 38. Oh, go away. I don't want you.
Discord server's
I don't want you either.
Oh.
Go away.
Alright, Barnes are double.
Okie smoky dokie. So, number 38. It tells us the y-intercept is 0, which means the b is 0. And it passes through the point -4, 3. So if we use slope-intercept form for that, right, then we would put a 3 here, and we would put a slope as a slope, right? We put a -4 here, we put a 0 here, right? And then we would solve for m. So this goes away. Divide off the -4, and we end up with an m of 3 over -4. Yes, makes sense.
You can tell he's going fast.
I am going fast. We've got things to do.
Standard form.
Standard, when we plug it into standard form, so now what we have is y equals -3/4 x, right? So in a standard form, we've got to get the x over there, so -3/4 x. And we end up with -3/4 x plus y equals 0. We can't have fractions in standard form, right? So we got to multiply everything by what number to get rid of that fraction?
3, 4. No, 4/3.
4, right? We usually don't want x to be negative either, so we're going to go ahead and multiply everything by -4. How's that sound?
Why just 4?
Because that cancels down here.
Oh, so it just makes it straight.
So over here on this first one, we distribute it. We end up with +3x, right? Minus 4y equals 0 because 0 times negative 4 is 0.
I just switched the numbers.
That makes sense where they came from?
Yeah. I'm gonna need you to do this old problem again.
Nope. But there is a recording of it, so you can go look at it at home.
I'm good.
I'm good. All right, let's move on to lesson number 4. Took a long time doing questions, but that's partially because these had a lot to read and do and go over and all that kind of stuff, which is fine because it's Tuesday. So I don't need to give y'all a ton of homework today, but I do need to give you some. Lesson 4.
You don't really need to, you know.
I very much do.
Do you really?
Yeah, because y'all got to have practice.
Will it
Parallel.
kill you if you don't, though?
No. Nobody's saying anything about killing. Calm down.
Wait, is it good?
And perpendicular lines. Okay.
Will I need graph paper for this?
If you end up being asked to graph them, you probably will. What do you think? Okay. I'm going to jump in with an example. Actually, we're not. We're going to jump in with some notes first, and then jump in with some examples. For parallel lines. Which we're going to use that symbol for. What's true about the slopes of these two lines?
They're going the exact same way.
Yeah.
Careful with that.
So for parallel lines, M1, or slope 1, right, equals M2. They've got the same slope. That's like the entire definition of parallel lines. Is lines that have the same slope, right? For perpendicular lines, we're going to flip and flip. Perpendicular. Which we're going to use this symbol for. A dead T.
Did we just do an actual T, though?
No, because that would be a T.
I'm gonna beat the system, though.
Okay. Perpendicular lines, so this line and this line. To find their slopes, we flip and flip. Okay, so M1 equals the opposite reciprocal of M2. So what I mean by we flip and flip is we flip the sign and we flip the level.
And then it becomes 1 over M2.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's look at an example using some of these bits. Look at a couple examples. Example number 1. Write the equation of the line which passes through (4, -1) and parallel to negative 3x minus 5y equals 7. So what's true about parallel lines? What did we just learn? Same slope. So what we need to do is we need to figure out what the slope of this line is. So how can we figure out the slope of that line?
We can rewrite it. Slope-intercept.
We could convert it to slope-intercept form. That sounds like a great idea. Okay, so to get that into slope-intercept form, what should we do?
Minus or add 3x.
Add 3x would be a good place to start. So those cancel, leaving us with negative 5y equals 3x plus 7, right? Now what?
We have to divide the whole thing by -1.
Negative 5, how about?
Oh yeah.
So that cancels. So this line is in slope-intercept form, y equals negative 3/5 x minus 7/5, right? So the slope of the line that we're interested in is what?
Negative 3/5.
Negative 3/5. Now we want to find the line that's parallel to this line over here, but it passes through this point up here. So what are we going to do now?
Change it to point-intercept.
You mean point slope? Yeah, we could use point slope. That would probably be the easiest way to do it. We could also use slope-intercept form. Either one, but let's use point slope because that's going to be quicker. We're still going to convert it to slope-intercept form for our answer, but
Are we going to have a quiz on this?
it's entirely possible. Quizzes are a good thing because they help us know whether you have learned it well or not.
No. But if I get like a 60.
Well, don't get like a 60. Do your homework and ask questions, and you won't get a 60.
I do get homework.
Well, good. Then you'll be fine. What are we going to plug? What are we going to plug in right here?
It's your fault. We're going to plug in
No.
-1.
Negative 1. What are we going to plug in right here?
Negative 3/5.
Negative 3/5. Sounds great. What are we going to plug in right here?
4.
Now we need to get this into slope-intercept form because we prefer that because it's easier to graph from. So what should we do now?
Well, it becomes y plus 1 because of the two negatives.
True. We could chink that. Now what? What are we going to do with that negative 3/5? Let's start with that.
Make it positive.
No. What do we do with this whole mess over here? Distribute it. That's right. Distribute that negative 3/5. Calm down, Chico. So y plus 1 equals, what's negative 3/5 times x?
Negative 3/5 x.
Negative 3/5 x. What's negative 3/5 times negative 4?
Negative 4/5.
No.
No, it's negative 12. 12. Oh.
It would be negative 12/5. What should we do now?
Is that it?
But we have to convert it to slope-intercept now.
We're still going to slope-intercept. That's our goal. So what do we got to do? How about we get rid of this 1? How we do that? Subtract 1.
I thought we were going to point slope.
No. So we're starting in point slope and but we're converting it to slope-intercept.
Oh.
So So y equals negative 3/5 x. What's negative 12/5 minus 1?
Negative 11/5.
Nope. Sign's the same. You add and keep the sign. You have to get a common denominator. You're doing negative 12/5 minus 5/5. Calculator. Do it on paper or whatever, something. Somebody get an answer for me.
17.
Negative 17/5.
No, that is wrong.
That's exactly it.
Oh my gosh! I'm the best guesser in the world, bro.
No, you just actually knew how to do fractions. Okay,
No,
now let's do example 2.
I am so proud of that. You don't even know. I am so happy.
Right. The equation in slope-intercept form. Of the line which do I want to chunk this in all together? Yeah. Gosh, we don't have a lot of time, but we can do it.
No, we can't. We can delete.
Yeah, we're gonna do the full problem, then I'm gonna give you the short problem in a second, and we'll talk through it quickly, and then we'll get homework and move on with our lives. Which passes through (5, -2) and is perpendicular to y equals 2x minus 5,232.
Wow.
Literally doesn't matter. I could have said minus chicken and it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, it would.
Not for this problem. Because all we care about from this guy is the slope, right? So what's the slope of that guy? It is 2. So since our line that we're interested in is perpendicular to that line, what's the slope of our line? What's the opposite reciprocal of 2?
Opposite. 2 over 1 over 2. 1/2.
Negative 1/2, right? The opposite reciprocal, right? So that's the slope we're looking for. We'll do this one the other way. We'll use slope-intercept form.
How did you figure that out again?
I looked at 2 and I flipped the sign, so it was positive, so I turned it negative. Good, happy for you. Y equals mx plus b is what we're going to use. We're going to use this method. We are going to plug -2 in for y, right? We're going to plug -1/2 in for m, and we're going to plug in 5 for x, and we're going to solve for b. So what's -1/2 times 5?
3.5.
Negative 5/2. I agree. And then we're going to add 5/2 to both sides. So what's -2 plus 5/2?
Plus -5/2?
It's going to be.
No. Yeah.
1.5.
No, not plus -5 because we've got to add 5/2 to cancel it out here. So plus 5/2.
It's going to be 1.5.
No, it's not. It's a lie.
It's going to be 3/4.
It's not going to. It's definitely not going to be 3/4.
It's 1/2.
It is 1/2.
You said 1/2. Wait, I said 1 and 1.
So what's the equation of our line?
You got 1 minute. Y.
Yeah, it's plenty of time to write down homework. And I'm going to give you extra because you keep whining about it.
No! Y equals,
What's the slope of our line?
2.
No, that's a
Negative
slope.
1/2.
Negative 1/2
Or negative 1/2 x plus 1/2.
plus 1/2.
Which is going to be 0. If x.
If x was 1, then it would be 0. Okay, homework.
Okay, turn 11:15. Hurry up. Come on.
It's 11:15, and I'm giving you homework.
No, technically classes.
No, technically you got homework.
Technically,
I am going to give you extra homework.
through 11.
No.
You think I'm kidding?
We have whole
We're not. Yeah, that's illegal. That's child abuse.
Homework. Pages 243 through 244.
It's not bad.
Numbers 12
Through 14.
through 42. Evens. You thought I was kidding, but I wasn't.
Is that actually extra than what we were doing?
Yeah.
No, it's not. No, it's
You can believe whatever you want your headcanon to be, but that's your homework. Any questions? No? Goodbye.
It's not my fault.